So yeah, guys, let's get started with object-oriented programming with C Sharp. Yesterday we have seen what is constructor and different types of constructors like default constructor, okay, parameterized constructor completed. Today we will see other types of constructors. Okay. After that we are going to discuss what is static keyword, how do we use it in C Sharp, followed by a topic, very important topic called inheritance in C Sharp. So types of inheritance, how many types we have, and we will see single inheritance and multi-level. We'll discuss those two things today. Okay, so let's get started with the first topic, guys, constructor. And in constructor we are talking about types of constructors. So yesterday what we have done with default constructor.
Default parameterized.
Yeah, what is default constructor? Anybody? What is default constructor? Anybody? Excuse me. What is default constructor? Nobody is talking, guys.
Will not create the constructor automatically. Default constructor will be a implicity, sir.
Invoked, implicitly invoked. Default constructor means a constructor which doesn't have any parameters and which will be called implicitly at the time of creating object is called as default constructor or parameterless constructor. Second category is parameterized constructor, which contains some parameters. Okay, and now we are talking about something called static constructor, I mean copy constructor first. Copy constructor, today we will see this, followed by static constructor. Okay, so we will see all these types one by one with examples, and then we are going to discuss static keyword. I mean, after telling this static keyword we will be talking about static constructor. Okay, so in how many ways we use static keyword we'll discuss. So yesterday we are done with the default constructor and parameterized constructor. So now we are going to talk about copy constructor in C Sharp. Okay, let's switch to Visual Studio. So create a new project. So yesterday it was okay. Let's make it as oops 5 is already there. Yeah, 5 is already there. Let's make it as 6. Okay, create. Click on create. So it will create a new project for us. Yeah, and we are going to see copy constructor. So what is copy constructor? Copy constructor is a constructor which is used to copy the data from an existing object into a new object. That is called as copy constructor. So whatever existing object data we have, that I want to copy into a new object, in that case we go for copy constructor. How do we write copy constructor? Let's see the syntax first. So normally how do we write a normal constructor? So we don't have any parameter, we may write public or any access modifier like internal, followed by class name. So class name, whatever class name is there, that we have to give, because constructor always having same name as class name. So that is the reason we have to give class name. Within brackets again we have to give class name, inside this space object name, whatever object name you have, that we have to use. Okay, so this is said to be the current object which is passed by end user. Okay, existing object we are copying, that I want to copy to the existing, I mean new object. So new object means the current class object we need to write inside this. Generally we write with this keyword, we are going to copy each and every element. So let me show you syntax, how to use. This is the syntax, guys. Example we will see. So now what is the scenario we go for copy constructor? If we see, for example, every January 1st, the company is hiking salary to all the employees. Okay, hiking means increasing salary, like appraisals. People will call it as appraisals. So when they are doing this yearly appraisals, so what companies will do is, suppose somebody joined in October, and every year they are hiking salary on Jan 1st. But this guy joined on October, right? So 1 year is not done now. 3 months, October, November, December, that's it. 2 months or 3 months will be done. So within 3 months they won't hike salary. That is why this guy's salary, whatever is there right now, will be copied to the new year object. Okay, so in that situation we go for copy constructor. Let's see the same example now. So let's switch to Visual Studio, create a class called employee. So what is the example here? Copy constructor demo. Okay, so what are we doing here? We are defining a class called employee, in which we have three parameters. So what are the parameters we have? Integer employee ID, private string ename employee name, and private double salary. Of course, I can give basic TA, DA, gross, net, everything, but I want to make it short so that you can understand easily. Okay, so what is the first thing I'm writing? I'm writing here something called constructor, which is said to be default constructor, where we don't have any parameters. Okay, so why I'm writing constructor, I mean default constructor, means if user forgot to pass any values, I need to initialize some default values like empid is equal to 0, ename is equal to null, and sal is equal to 0. Okay, fine. This is said to be default constructor, which doesn't have any parameters. Default constructor, so that you will understand the difference between you know uh, default constructor, copy constructor, and all these we'll understand. Okay, second one, I'm taking something called constructor with parameters, or parameterized constructor, in which I'm taking integer empid, string ename, and double sal. So we have three parameters where I'm asking the user to pass parameters. Those parameters I need to copy into my employee ID, ename, and salary variables. So these are member variables or data members. So to these, excuse me, to these I want to initialize. How to initialize? With the help of, yeah, what do we write here, guys? Anybody? Can I write empid is equal to empid, because this variable name is empid, local parameter name, and here my member variable name is also empid. So can I say empid is equal to empid, or anything I need to use?
This
This
keyword, sir.
keyword, sir.
This keyword, very good. It's an interview question, mark. When do we use this keyword? What is the purpose of this keyword? Like that, they'll ask you. Here, empid means local variable parameter. This dot empid means member variable. So this means member variable. So this variable, whatever is declared inside the class, is referred by this keyword. Okay. Empid means ID is local variable. Okay. This dot empid means member variable. Okay, that point we need to remember. So this dot ename is equal to ename, and this dot sal is equal to sal. Like that we have initialized the member variables. So we know this, this is the default constructor we know, and this one is said to be parameterized constructor. Okay, both are ready. Now third type of constructor what we are writing is, see, if we have three members, I wrote three, but I have seven member variables like employee ID, name, basic, TA, DA, HRA, gross. So I cannot write this many, right? In that case, if you go to copy constructor, public employee, within brackets, class name as per the syntax, object name I said EMP. Okay, you can give anything, guys. Object name E also you can give. It's your wish. E or EMP. Let's say E. Object name can be anything. Now what should I say? What is this employee space E? Whatever object, existing object the user is passing, that will come and store in the object called E. So this value I want to copy into my member variable called empid. Then what should I say? This dot empid is equal to E dot empid. E dot empid is existing object. This dot empid is current object. So that point is important to remember. So this dot ename is equal to E dot ename. Okay. So E dot empid means E dot empid is existing object data. Okay. Same way this dot sal is equal to sal, or E dot sal, sorry. E dot sal. So existing object data I'm copying into current object. Current object is empty object, new object. Okay, so that I'm copying existing salary, because October salary whatever is given, January also we need to copy same salary for the first time. Okay, so now what we are adding extra is we have constructor, guys, default constructor, we have parameterized constructor, and this constructor is called as copy constructor. Now the extra thing what I'm writing is something called destructor. What is destructor? A destructor is something like a method which is used to destroy the object once it is utilized. I mean the object is out of scope in memory. So how to write destructor? We'll write something called employee class name and just leave it. Of course, we may not write anything in the destructor, just for the sake of understanding I'm writing destructor invoked, like that I'm calling. Okay, this only message I'm writing. So what is destructor? A destructor is also like a member function which will be called automatically, and it is preceded with the tilde sign. What is the purpose of the destructor? It is used to destroy the object once it is out of scope in memory. So that when I have so many objects, when my object is utilized, I don't want to keep it in memory. I want to release the memory for the object. Means we write employee. I mean destructor. This is called a destructor. Okay, this is also not compulsory, guys, but it's highly recommended to write a constructor and destructor in every C sharp class. But even though you are not writing destructor, there is no problem. But there is if you don't write constructor, there is something called garbage collection which is there in C sharp, which will take care of cleanup activity. Okay, it's not compulsory to write a destructor, but most of the cases we write constructor and constructor with parameters, and you can also write a destructor like this. Okay, yeah. So default constructor is there, parameter is constructor is also there, copy constructor is also there. Now finally I'm writing a method called display method. You can write destructor at the end of the program or in the middle, there is no issue. Here what I'm writing, public void show data or display. Method name can be anything else, display or show data or whatever. Now what I'm going to display, employee id plus emp id, or you can also write this dot emp id, there is no issue. Console dot write line, we are printing employee name plus e name, employee name, and then salary. Okay, so that is plus sal. So done, guys. Okay, so I'm going to create objects for all these classes now. I mean for employee class I'm creating three objects. Okay, let's create object of first object of employee class, e1 is equal to new employee. See guys, I did not pass anything in here. If I don't pass any arguments here, it is obviously is going to call default constructor. Let's say e1 dot display, you will get 0 null 0. Let's see something, let's run it and see. Console dot read key and see the output, guys. You will have nothing, empty, 0 null 0. See guys, emp id 0, null means nothing, salary is 0. But I want to create another object this time. Employee e2 is equal to new employee. Here I am passing 1001. I said Surya is the name of the employee and salary is something like 25,000. So the object is ready, initialized. This time which constructor will be called, anybody guys? I have passed three parameters, so which constructor will be called now out of three constructors?
Parameterized constructors.
Parameterized.
Very good. Parameterized. Because you can see here we have three parameters. So here also we have three parameters. So obviously it will call the parameterized constructor. So let's say e2 dot display, and you will see 1001 Surya and 25,000 for the second object. Let's give a new line here. Slash n means it will come in a new line. So it looks good. See the output, guys. So employee ID for the first object is 0, null 0. Second object E2. E2 contains 1001 Surya and 25,000. Like that, we can see. Now, coming to the third object, what I'm going to do is creating third object. Employee E3 is equal to new employee, but this time I'm passing E2 as a parameter. So what is meant by this? The object, new object, what I'm creating E3 should have my existing salary, because Surya employee joined on October. So January 1st we are not hiking salary along with other employees because of the rules of the company. So what we do, we are copying E2. E2 is the existing object. So where I'm copying, I'm copying into E3. How I'm copying? Since we have a copy constructor, this will take E2 into this E object, and from E object every data member I'm copying to the current object. So what is this dot empid here? E3 dot empid. What is E dot empid here? E2 dot empid. So existing object is called as E2, E2, E2. Here it is E3. When I say this means it is E3 dot empid, E3 dot ename, and E3 dot salary. Okay, let's come down and let's see E3 dot display. So can you guess the output of last line? I mean 64, 65. Can you guess, guys, what is the output of this line E3 dot display?
The the 62 output is the same.
Yeah, same whatever 63 what we have, 1001 Surya 25,000. If you have same values from the object, then copy constructor successfully did its job. So here which constructor will be called? Copy
Copy.
constructor called here. So that is the point we need to remember. Let's run it and see. If you got the same values twice, copy succeeded. This is even object which contains only 0 null 0 default constructor. And second one is passed the parameter, so parameterized constructor called, and we have some default values whatever I have. And coming to the third constructor, which is copying the objects existing object like E2 into E3 with the help of copy constructor. So whatever values we found in E2 will be copied to E3 also. Okay, so this is called as the purpose of copy constructor. But what about this destructor, sir? You wrote some message in destructor, but I did not see. So what's going on here? Can we see the message? Of course, why not? But since we have console.read key here, we are unable to see, guys. Just delete this and press Ctrl F5 from your keyboard. Then you will see the output of destructor. You can see here. So first, employee ID 0 on a default constructor, parameterized constructor. Third one is copy constructor. Here you can see how many destructors are invoked. Three destructors. Why? So when you create three objects, we have been calling three constructors. First object is calling default constructor. Second object is calling parameterized constructor. Third object is calling what? Copy constructor. For each and every object, since we wrote a destructor, that is invoked. So that is the way to see if you want to see this. So after completion of all the statements, then destructor will be invoked. So why are we writing destructor, sir? Though we are not writing destructor, so we can run the program and we can see the output, right? So what is the advantage of this? The advantage of destructor is to release the memory for the objects once they are already utilized in our project. So if you want to make use of in memory, save the memory, then we can go for destructor. Okay, so what is destructor? Let me write here the notes. And so you can see the example of copy constructor also here. Let me write a notes first for destructor. So what is destructor? It is a member function which is having class name same as, I mean, same name as class name, same name as class name, preceded by tilde sign. This sign is called as tilde sign. Tilde sign. It will be called automatically or implicitly, called implicitly or automatically, both the same, guys, as it will be called automatically once the object is utilized, or once the object is out of scope. Out of scope means it's already utilized in our program. So before we close the program, so destructor is getting invoked. Okay, yeah, that is said to be destructor. And we cannot pass arguments to destructor. We cannot pass arguments to destructor, number one, but we can pass arguments to constructor. They will ask in interviews what is difference between constructor and destructor, guys. Okay, so in constructor we can pass arguments, but in destructor we cannot pass arguments. Number one. Number two, so destructor constructor overloading is possible, but destructor overloading is not possible. So what is meant by overloading? Anybody? What is meant by constructor overloading?
Two
It
or
is a
more
process of
constructors.
writing code, sir.
We can write two or more constructors in a class. So what is meant by destructor overloading is not possible? We cannot write
Two or more
more
conditions
than
each class.
one destructor in a class. Only one destructor is allowed. That is the point here. Okay. So this is the point we need to remember. So we cannot pass arguments to destructor. Number one. Number two, destructor overloading is not possible. Okay. So in interviews they might ask you difference. What is difference between constructor and destructor? This is an interview question, guys. So let me write the answer here. Constructor, destructor. So what is the purpose of constructor? To initialize the data members of the class. So it is used to initialize the data members of the class. Initialize data members of the class. And here it is used to destroy the objects which are out of scope. Out of scope means we have already utilized the objects, and I want to release the memory for objects, means for those we use destructor. Okay, so we can pass arguments in a constructor, but coming to destructor we cannot pass arguments. Okay, coming to overloading, constructor overloading is possible. Loading is possible, but destructor overloading is not possible. Here it is not possible. So destructor overloading is not possible. Okay, so these are the points we need to remember. Okay, that's all about this, guys. Okay, yeah, so these are the differences we need to remember. Okay, yeah, and we can call constructor explicitly, but we cannot call destructor explicitly. We can call constructor explicitly means when I pass arguments, that will be called explicitly, but here we don't have option to call it explicitly. We cannot call it destructor. We can call constructor explicitly, but here we cannot call destructor explicitly. Okay, so that's the point we need to remember with regards to this what you call destructor. Okay, so these are the points we need to remember, guys. So that's all about constructor versus destructor. Interviews they might ask you what is difference between constructor and destructor. You have to say, and the class name and the constructor name should be same, but coming to destructor we have a tilde sign. Okay, tilde sign will be there, extra one. I mean tilde sign is preceded by the class name, so that is the point we need to remember. And once you are trying to add something to this, can I add public before this? See, guys, what it is saying, modifier public is not valid for this item, so we cannot add it like a constructor. Coming to constructor C, public employee added access modifier, but for destructor access modifier is not allowed. So this is the point we can add extra to the differences. Okay, so we can add public or any access modifier to constructor, but coming to destructor we cannot add access modifier. It's a syntactical error. Okay, we cannot do it. Okay, yeah. So these are the differences, guys. So we have seen 5 differences between the constructor and destructor. Okay, yeah, these are enough. Now we are moving to next topic, that is said to be as per the agenda. We have done with the default constructor, parameterized, and copy constructor. So before we begin with static constructor, let us discuss what is static keyword in C sharp. Okay, so static keyword in C sharp is used to create static data members, which are said to be static variables, or static variables, or static data members, or static member variables. And then static methods also there, static methods. And then static constructor, just now I told you what is static constructor, that is what another one. And we have something called static class also. We'll discuss static class later. Types of classes, we have a small topic called types of classes, where we will discuss different types of classes available in C sharp. So right now we are talking about static data members in this session, then we'll see static methods, and then we will discuss static constructor. Okay, so let's get started, guys. So what is static keyword? Okay, so there are two types of member variables available in a class. Okay, there are two types of member variables or data member variables available in a class. Number one, static data members and instance members. Instance members means like member variables, instance members, or instance variables, or non-static. Okay, second one is static members. Static members means static variables, instance variables. You can also say instance variables, or member variables, or data members. And static members means static variables. So what is difference between two? For example, I have a class called a student. In the student class, I have two types of variables like a, b, and static integer c. So this point we need to remember, guys. If you know this, we will understand more clearly. So what is happening when I create an object of student class in memory? So whenever I create student class object, like I said, student s1 is equal to new student. Okay, for example, I don't have this static variable. Let's comment this line. So now what happens whenever I create a student class object like student s1 is equal to new student? So the object reference variable s1, if you go to the memory, you will have s1 contains a and b. Let's go to the memory. Let's see how we can draw this in paintbrush. So this is the memory. So static members versus instance members. Instance members mean non-static members. In simple terms, static variables and non-static variables. Okay. So what is difference between two? So static members versus instance members. So whenever you create S1 object, what happens in memory? So it will have two placeholders which contains A and B. This is A, the first one is A, and what is this? S1 object. S1. What it contains? It contains A and B. This is A and this is B. A and this is B. B. So A is here, B is here. So S1 is an object which contains A and B. Okay. So let me save it. Static versus non-static members. Okay, let us save it in our folder. Yeah. So if I create another object called S2, what happens? Like I said, one more object. So like that, what is S1 here for the first student? So I'm taking two values, two integer values. Okay. S2, another object, another student is there. Second student is also having A and B again. So like that I'm creating so many objects like this, because how many students I have in my class, that many objects I will create. So every object of student class contains a b like that. S1 contains a and b, S2 contains a and b, S3 also contains a and b. Same thing applies to here also. Here I have taken one more object S2. Then this name of the object is S2. It contains again two variables called A and B. Same like earlier. Okay. This is A and this is B. Same way S3 also contains same thing. Guys, are you understanding? S3 also same way, it will have some memory which is having two variables, two instance variables A and B, and this is S3 object. It contains A and B. This is A and this is B. Coming to static is concerned, you will not have every copy for every static variable. So what is static integer C? Now I added a static integer C. Now what happens in memory? So for every object you have one copy, like it contains AB variables. Okay, AB members, instance members. It will also contains AB. It contains same thing, AB members. It also contains same thing, AB. What about C? But C will be only one copy will be created for all the members of the class. Okay. So what is static data member? When you create a static data member in a class, then only one copy will be created for all the members of the class, for all the objects of the class. That is the difference between static data member and non-static data member. So if I have three objects, every object we have AB. S1 is having A and B, S2 is having A and B, S3 is also having A and B. But coming to C is concerned, only one will be there. So we have only one variable called C. The static is different, only one copy. This is said to be the variable C. This is called static integer C. So why are we creating static integer? Because I have a common value that I want to share to all the objects. Like I have some batch code for all the students. 1100 is the batch code. So that I wanted to share to all the objects, or batch code, or university name is common for all the students. So that kind of things can be created with the static data member. So what is common to all the students of the college? So like university name is common because all the students are affiliated. I mean the college is affiliated to JNTU or Osmania University or whatever university they are affiliated with. So that is called as common value I want to share across all the objects of same class, means then we go for static data members. So what are ABC here? Instance members. Okay. So these are all instance. AB are called as instance members, and C is said to be static data members. So whenever you have a common value for all the objects of the same class, then we go for static data members. That is the difference between static member and instance member. Let's go to the example. Let's close this project. Let me copy this. I think we have pasted it earlier. Let us see the program here itself. Yeah. So let's see the example, guys. How to do this static data members, static member variables or static data members. Okay. So let's create a class now, like oops 7 I said, in which I'm creating a class, same student class I'm taking, class student, in which I'm taking a private integer, roll number, private string, name of the name or student name, you can give like anything. And now we are taking a static integer batch code. Okay, batch underscore code, you can give anything else, batch underscore code or b code or batch code. Okay, is equal to, I can give double one double two. So in this way I'm giving. Okay, so but it's not recommended to keep directly values inside the class. Instead of that, we can go for static block. Actually, that's a good way to go. So let's write it for normal. So okay, yeah. So now let's write the remaining, like public void except, we are taking roll number and name of the, I mean, student. Okay, so where we are taking so integer rno string yes name I'm taking like this. Or you can take runtime also accept method, or you can take constructor also, guys. This dot rno equals to rno, and this dot name s name is equal to s name. So we are reading both. Coming to the next, I want to display. How to display? Public void display method I'm taking, and here I'm going to uh, print roll number of the student plus rno, or you can say this dot rno also, no problem. And then student name I'm printing. Along with student name, yes name I'm printing, I'm also wanted to print the batch code of the student, that is double one double two or double one double zero, whatever. So how do we say? Batch code I'm printing. So what is this batch code? Batch underscore code is my static data member name. Okay, now so let's try to create objects of I mean student class. Student s1 is equal to, what is the program is all about? We need to start with the comment. It's a good line, good way to write. Static data members. Okay, yeah, this is said to be static data member. Static data member or static variable in our general term. Okay, student s1 is equal to new student. So first student object is ready. S1 dot accept of roll number one, name I set Ram, and then just leave it. What else? Roll number, name, and course only two. Roll number, name. That's it. But at the time of passing, we are passing roll number and S name, but we are not passing batch code because batch code is already initialized by us. Okay, so let's scroll down, and we are printing s1 dot display first student details, and coming to second student details, student s2 is equal to new student, in which s2 dot accept I'm taking. S2 dot accept, we are passing roll number 2, and I said Krish is the name of the student, and s2 dot display. But remember guys, for these two objects we have a common value that is called as double one double two. That is the batch code I have given for both the students, because every student will have same batch code or year of passing, like 2022 passed out, 2021 passed out. So everybody in your batch will have same passed out batch, year of passing is 2022 or 2021 or whatever, or university name is common. So such values can be given as a static data members. So what happens if I don't make my batch code as static? Well, is there any problem to me? Yes. What is the problem? Let's try to understand. If I don't make my batch code as static, if it is normal, non-static means how many objects you are creating. Like student S1 is having roll number and name of the student S name. S2 is also having roll number and name. That is okay. Every student will have their own roll number and name, that's fine. But everybody is having common batch code, right? But if you keep it as non-static, every student will have batch code extra variable as an extra variable, so which is taking 4 bytes of memory extra. For two students it is 8 bytes. 20 students means 20 into 4 bytes, 80 bytes. 2000 students in my college, everybody, including all the branches. So 2000 into 4, 8000 bytes will be wasted. So I don't want to waste that much memory because the value is common for all the students. In such case, better to go for static data members like university name or whatever value is common for all the, like company name, head office name for all the employees will be same, head office address. So make it as static, static string head office address common for all the employees, but branch address is different from each other, make it as non-static. Guys, are you understanding what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, that is what difference between static and non-static. If you have common value for all the students or all employees or all products, then go for what, for example, gst is same for all. We have taken some product type like something like medicines. So on medicines we have some gst like 18% or 2% or whatever number it is. Common for all medicines means then go for something called static. No, sir, different GST. For one kind of medicines, it is one kind of GST, or we don't have GST at all. So depends upon the situation. So we go for static or non-static. So you need to decide whether static is being a developer. We need to think for which variables we need to give static and which of them are non-static. So these two are instance variable or non-static variables, and this is said to be static variable. Okay, yeah, that's all about this. Let's run it and see the output, guys. I'm giving roll number and name. But look at the batch code. Batch code is common for both the students. Of course, here I wrote only two students, but in real time, people will create so many objects, thousands of objects. Then there is a lot of memory wastage if it is a non-static. So that is why better to go for static data numbers. That's the important point we need to remember when you're talking about static. Is it clear, everybody?
Sir.
Yeah. So now we are talking about something called static method. Static method. What is static method? Static method is a method which is preceded by static keyword, of course. And so what is the difference between static method and non-static method? Means static method can be called without creating object. Of course, conditions apply. It should be in the same class. If you are in the same class, then static method need not create any object. You can call it directly. Okay, brackets if it is in the same class. It is in the same class. So why they made it as main method as static, because we need not create object for main method. That is the reason they made it as static void main. That's the reason for static void main. Okay, let us see the example of static method here. Let's create a new project, close solution, create a new project. So we have done it already in the beginning, but again I'm showing you. Oops, 7. Let's say 7. Oh, 7 is already there, right? Let's make it as 8. Click on create. So now I'm creating two methods, guys. One is with the static keyword like static void hello and void hello. Let's say void hello first, and then this is instance method. Instance method. Hello is an instance method. Okay, like that I've given some message. Okay, what about the next one? Static void welcome. Void welcome. What is welcome here? Welcome is a static method. Here I said. So what is this? Instance method or non-static method we can say. But this is said to be static method. So what is difference between two? Let's print the message first. Welcome is a static method. Like that I gave some message, guys. It's not compulsory to write inside this. Now how can I call hello? Any guess? Can I call hello directly in main method? Hello open close bracket semicolon. Can I call it?
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. Somebody said yes, somebody said no. Let's check it out. I'm trying to call hello now. Hello. See the output, guys? What it is saying? It is showing error. What is the error? Can anyone read this? Read the error message, anybody?
An object reference is required for the non-static field,
So if you
method,
want to
or
call,
property.
yeah, if you want to call any non-static method, you have to create object reference variable. Object reference variable means what is the class name? Program. So you have to create object of this class called program. So we have to say program p is equal to new program. The object is created. That is object reference variable p. Now I can say p dot hello.
Hello.
Yeah, this is perfectly all right. Let's try to run it and see, guys. Run the program now. Now there is no error and you will get a message. Hello is an instance method. We got the output successfully. But coming to welcome, can anybody tell me, guys, how can I call welcome now?
Directly we call, sir.
Yes, absolutely correct. So we can call welcome method directly. So why I am able to call welcome method directly without creating object? Because it is a static method. So static method can be called. Static method can be called without object. Okay, there is no object required, but we are able to call directly. That is the advantage of static method. That's why he made our main method also static, because he wanted to call C sharp compiler will call this static automatically, main method automatically, because it is a static method. Otherwise he need to create object for the program class, then only he can call main method. That's why he made it as static. If anyone asks you in interviews, guys, what is the purpose of static, why they made main method as static void main, in C language only void main, in C sharp why static void main, means this is the answer. If you don't have static keyword before the main method, we have to create object for the class called program, then only the C sharp compiler is able to call main method. That's why he made it as static. Okay, so hope everyone understood this example, guys. Now you can see both are called, but how instance method is called, guys? It is called with the object only,
Create
without,
object.
yeah, without object we cannot call. Coming to static method, you need not create any object, you can call it directly. So you can see here I wrote 2 lines of code, but here within 1 line I have done it. So that is why I was telling previously when I'm explaining something called method overloading, I wrote all the methods as static void sum, static void sum, like that I wrote it. So why I added static? I hope everyone understood. I think so. Anyone is having doubt, please let me know, guys. Guys, anybody doubt on static method? Why static method is given? Why I made it as static? So if I make a method as static, directly I can call like this. If I don't add static before the method name, you have to create object like this. Then only we can call. Any doubt in this one?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, good. So please go through the notes, practice. After that you can ask me if you have any doubt also. Okay. Now the last topic in this syllabus, I mean, our agenda is static construct. So then we will think about static class later. Let's talk about static construct. So what is static constructor? Static constructor is also called as a static block. Okay. Static constructor. It is also called as static block, which is used to initialize initialize only static data members, only static variables. Okay, that is the point we need to remember. Okay, let's try to do it now. Let's switch to, I think I've copied this and I pasted it down. Yeah, so let's see the new project. Oops, 8 is already done. Now we are creating oops 9. Create new project, console app.net from framework. Oops 9 I'm creating. Okay, so what is this? Here we are creating a class called sample. So what is the program is all about? Static constructor or static block. Static block. Okay, so in my class called test, I have taken a class called test. You can give any name, guys. So inside my test class I have something called integer ab, and we have static integers, 3 variables. A, B are normal instance members, and C is a static data member. Now when I'm initializing, I can take a constructor like public test. Inside this I can initialize a value 10 and b value 20. There is no issue. Okay, we have a method called display method, guys. Public void display. Okay, so we are printing a value b value on the screen. A is equal to plus a and b is equal to plus b. Okay, this is simple program just to display a value and b value because they are instance members. What about C? So can I write C is equal to 30 here? Of course, yes, there is no problem. And you can print C also here. Console.writeLine C is equal to plus C. Absolutely good. There is no issue. Come down. Create the object of test class. Test T is equal to new test. No issue. You can call it. And T dot display. You can call it. So you will get A, B, C values. Console.read key. Okay, let's run it and see, guys. Whenever I create object, you will see A, B, C, constructor, default constructor is getting called, and you will have the three values initialized, and you will get 10, 20, 30 as the output. Okay, it's very simple and easy to understand. But the point is, what is happening in the background? So you can initialize all type of variables. These are instance variable, this is static variable. Both can be initialized in a default constructor, so or instance constructor. Okay, in default constructor or instance constructor you can initialize all type of variables. This is fine, absolutely good. Now I'm creating another constructor. This is going to be static constructor. How to create static constructor? Just static curly brace open close. This is called as static constructor, guys. Static. And so here think one second, we need to add this also. Yeah, static and class name. Fine. So in static constructor, what I can do is I can initialize C is equal to 30. Now run it, and this constructor will be called automatically. You can see the output here, guys. A value 10, B value 20, C value 30. But now the question is, sir, why you created again static constructor? Why don't you continue with the instance constructor? Because previously you wrote all the three in a default constructor only. Now why are you wasting time, sir? Why this is different? Why this is required extra? Remember, guys, if you initialize with the instance constructor, you can initialize static constructor as static members as well as non-static members. Both can be initialized. But coming to static constructor, you can initialize only static data members. So static constructor is exclusively used to initialize static data members. So that is the point we need to remember. So also called static flag, which is used to initialize only static data members. What happens if I say A is equal to 10 and B is equal to 30 here? Can I cut and paste it here? We will get an error. See, guys, what it is saying? You can see here, an object reference is required for the non-static field method or property test.a. So we cannot do it directly in non-static members only allowed in a static. Sorry, non-static members are not allowed. Mean instance members are not allowed in static constructor. But whereas in a normal constructor, instance constructor, we can initialize all type of variables, whether it is static or non-static, both are okay. But coming to static constructor is a special constructor exclusively used for static data members. So cut it and paste it. So instance constructor for instance variables and static variables both together I can use. But coming to here, only one type of data members allowed, that is said to be static data members. So this point is important to remember. That's the difference between static constructor and instance constructor. Okay, let's run it and see the output. We will have A is equal to 10, B is equal to 20, C is equal to 30. Now we have a question in interview. Which one will be called first? See, we have two constructor, right? One is default constructor or instance constructor. Second one is static constructor. When you have two constructors, which one will be called first? Whether instance constructor first or static constructor first? Any guess, guys? Which one will be called first? Instance or static?
Static అనుకుంటా.
Yes, that is the right answer. So you can see how do I know, sir, static is coming first? Just write console.writeLine. Static constructor invoked, like that I wrote some message. And here I wrote one more console.writeLine message, that is default constructor or instance constructor invoked. Just for the sake of understanding, guys, it's not compulsory to give a message. See, let's run it and see the output now. First, which constructor is invoked? Static constructor, followed by instance constructor. Okay, so this is what you have to remember. Don't feel that if I write first instance constructor first, it is coming. Second time you wrote static, so second time this will come. No, it doesn't follow the sequence. So static variables will be created first, and then static methods or constructors will be created in memory first, followed by instance members. So whenever an instance is created, instance members will be instance variables will be created and instance constructor will be invoked. But this will be called only once for the entire class. So that is the point we need to remember. So static is mainly used for creating static variables like a global variable, which is a single variable for the entire number of objects of the same class. Okay, so this point is important to remember, guys. Okay, that's all about static variable, static method, and static constructor also completed successfully. So static classes we will discuss later. So only pending is static class, and we have inheritance also. So inheritance, I think it's better to discuss evening. We will discuss static class and types of classes also. Yeah, any doubts till now, guys? So we have completed copy constructor, static data members, static methods, and static constructor is also completed. Okay, so in inheritance we will discuss today evening. We'll have one more class and then we'll discuss. Okay, let me